I'm Ethan. I love muzzleloading. This is your muzzleloading news for January 2025. I think one of the biggest news stories for 2024 for us was the news of yet another explosion of some kind at the Minden, Louisiana GOEX plant. At the time of recording now in December, it's been some time since the actual latest explosion. We don't have any more publicly available details. Thankfully, in the initial reporting, we heard that nobody was hurt during this most recent explosion in fall 2024. Relating to the news about the GOEX explosion and uncertainty about powder production going into 2025, Schutzen Energetics, the importer for Schutzen and Swiss black powder down in Texas, has publicly stated that they'll be, quote, stepping up their import of European black powder, this being Swiss and Schutzen brand black powder, to try and help alleviate some of the pressure that might be there after uncertainty with how much GOEX is going to be publicly available in 2025. I've asked representatives from Schutzen Powder Energetics about how much more powder they'll be bringing into the country in 2025, but I've not been able to get a concrete number as to how much more they're looking to bring in. Caps. Still on everybody's mind. It's on mine as well. I've been a whole lot busier than I was in past years, so I haven't been able to personally get out and check shops or really monitor the different regions and how caps are going. But what I've been able to garner and grasp here is that caps are pretty consistent to what they have been for the past few years, maybe trending a little bit lower in quantity, but that's so hard to tell. The infrastructure around caps has changed over the last 5 to 10 years. The way I see it right now, we're seeing a very similar pattern for the past 5 years going into this year and coming out of this year and going into 2025. This year, like the past few years, we saw limited availability of caps in the first half of the year. And then once July hit, we saw increased availability of caps at online retailers primarily. It wasn't until August, September that we started to see more availability of caps in retail stores. And then it kind of fluctuated into October, November, and now as I'm recording this, it's the end of 2024, and we're looking at muzzleloader seasons, and people are trying to go to the shelves to get caps only to find that they're not there. They're trying to go online to find that they're not there, and it's a big bummer. And I'm sorry for the folks out there that are in that situation, but this is a really common cadence that we're seeing for percussion caps for muzzleloading. I continue to ask the distributors that I'm connected with across the country about percussion cap availability, and this year I'm getting the same response that I got last year and the year before. Through this fall, especially for smaller scale retailers, I'm not talking about big box stores, I'm talking about small shops that stock muzzleloaders. These smaller shops are seeing sporadic arrival of caps based on back orders placed as many as 2 or 3 years ago. These buying groups are getting some in, but as I've talked about in previous videos, we're seeing fluctuations on quality, specifically on CCI caps. These quantities are varying around the 10 to 20,000 cap mark. And like I said, they're showing up inconsistently, which makes it hard to structure distribution and selling then to the actual muzzleloading enthusiast, you and me. What I have heard here recently that is new information is that CCI is not taking any orders currently for percussion caps. They are filling back orders for components, not taking any new orders, and the distributors that I've talked to have not heard from CCI if this is a temporary measure or not. So it seems like CCI is trying to work through their backlog of the last probably 5 years now, looking at the calendar. The distributors I've talked to have said that they have a steady supply of RWS caps coming in from Europe. The quality seems to be standard on those, and the import supply of them continues to be steady. So if you're looking for percussion caps, as usual, I think the best thing that you can do is sign up on the wait list for your favorite online retailer so that you get an email notification when those percussion caps are in stock, whatever brand it is, so that you can purchase them as quickly as possible. That continues to be the best way to source percussion caps for your muzzleloader in 2024, and I think going into 2025. Schutzen Energetics down in Texas is owed a lot of kudos and a lot of thanks for their continued strength and consistency of importing European-made muzzleloading components to the United States to keep us going where the American production companies are really falling behind and lacking. I'm sorry I don't have more news about percussion caps. I'm sorry I don't have better news about percussion caps, but I think we're in kind of a new cadence here. You just can't expect to go to your local retailer or even your local small-time gun shop and pick up percussion caps anymore. It stinks, but the best thing that you can do, or the easiest thing you can do, is get on that wait list, buy 1,000, use up that 1,000, and know you'll be set for a little while. It's just where we're at. According to the Huntmasters TV Instagram page, which is associated with the Thompson Center Company, Greg Ritz runs Huntmasters and now Thompson Center. New production Thompson Center models are in production now and should be hitting retailers sometime in February 2025. Now, the comment did not say whether or not this was centerfire modern or muzzleloading related, but the post that it was commented on was a muzzleloading associated post where Greg was citing in his Thompson Center Encore Pro Hunter. I've not heard yet if Thompson Center will be at the SHOT Show here in January. That would be, I think, a big splash for Thompson Center to reappear on their own at the SHOT Show. But that being said, it would be a huge expense for this kind of new old company at this point, and I'm not sure if they're going to go through with that or not. I'm interested to see either way how they approach what is typically a big week for firearm and muzzleloading releases for the hunting and shooting sports industry. I think right now, much like we are, the other brands in the modern muzzleloading space are kind of watching to see what Thompson Center is planning and what they're going to do. This past season was the last season without new Thompson Center muzzleloaders being out and about. And I think Thompson Center has a huge advantage being a legacy company, or being the legacy company that they are, in that they have a tradition of American made, which is a huge priority for modern sportsmen, and they have a ton of brand loyalty because of their legacy. Just this week, Bass and Buck in Wabash, Indiana received a shipment of new production, I believe, Thompson Center Compass bolt action rifles. Now, these aren't muzzleloaders, they aren't muzzleloading related, but it is the first sign I've seen of a shipment arriving at a retailer. So we've heard about some accessories, we've seen some accessories like some breech plugs and some other accessories hitting store shelves to select retailers, but this is the first time I have personally been made aware of a shipment of a pallet of rifles arriving at a retailer. In muzzleloading builder news, we've got a new lock coming out from the L&R Lock Company. This is their new model number 1780 muzzleloading lock, available in flint and percussion. L&R states that the 1780 lock is a late 18th century style found on many American, English, and French guns. Quote, "Our lock is sized for small rifles and pistols. It is also compatible with the small Siler mortise. The lock features our forged mainspring and rollered frizzen, very fast and efficient. Currently right hand only in model 1780 Flintlock and 1780P in percussion. The dimensions are 4 7/8 by 3/4 inch. Always great to see new models, new locks, new parts making their way to the market. While muzzleloader building or traditional muzzleloader building might feel like a super niche anymore, it's still fantastic to see these companies like L&R continuing to release new products to supplement the interest that's out there. There's been a lot of discussion lately on the American Long Rifles Forum about muzzleloader building and what its future is looking like, and I think it's exciting to see, as with anything, new products being made available for the current builders and future builders to choose from when building a muzzleloader. Hopefully sometime this year I can get my hands on one of these and share it with y'all. Along with some of the other news we've talked about, I wanted to mention something I'm seeing more and more on the forums, and it's some frustration with the kit quality of the InvestArm's Hawken series. Now, I did a video, and the muzzleloader was provided by muzzleloaders.com, the whole kit building series, which is a whole other can of worms maybe we should talk about. But some folks have purchased that kit and have found the quality control for the parts and the components to be a bit lacking. It varies, it seems, and this isn't by any means every kit that is shipped by InvestArm, but there does seem to be a certain number of kits out there that just aren't able to be put together, whether the stock is kinked on an axis or inlets are in the wrong spot. I'm seeing this and it frustrates me, having done a series on it and having a genuinely good experience with the kit, and I recommended it because I had a good experience with it. Didn't have any major issues. If you do get one of these kits and the inlets aren't in the right spot or you have any kind of issue, I encourage you to contact the retailer that you purchased the kit from and work with them to make it right. In every one that I have been emailed about and the ones that I have seen mentioned on the forums, the people having issues have contacted their retailer, and the retailer has replaced parts of the kit or the whole kit depending on how poor it is. So keep that in mind. I'm really sorry if you purchased this kit because of the series that we did and you had something come in that you spent your hard-earned money on that you couldn't put together or was too difficult to put together for something that really should come ready to put together. Contact your retailer. If things don't get sorted out, please let me know, because I want to know what's happening out there with these companies. Just like I'm trying to bring you news from the industry and these companies when I can, I'm relying on you guys at home to let me know if there's an issue out there that needs attention brought to it. So contact your retailer, try to make it right with them, and hopefully you can continue on your muzzleloading journey. In other news, we have confirmation from Catherine at Kibler's Long Rifles that the design for the much talked about Kibler Hawken is nearing completion and should be released in 2025. In a post comment on the Kibler Long Rifles Facebook group, Catherine responded to a question about the Kibler Hawken, asking if there was any new information about it, to which she replied and confirmed that the Kibler Hawken has been in production, the design is nearly complete, and it's on track for 2025. This is exciting news for muzzleloading going into 2025. It's the 200th anniversary of the start of the Hawken shop in St. Louis under brothers Samuel and Jacob. The Hawken rifle's huge for many in muzzleloading, coming out of the 1970s with the resurgence of muzzleloading coming off of the Mountain Men movie and the Jeremiah Johnson movie, of course. So the Thompson Center variant of the modern muzzleloading Hawken rifle, it holds a near and dear place in many people's hearts. The excitement over a Kibler possibility for a Hawken has been huge because of their quality, their quickness to production, and their ease of use of assembly. You can assemble, especially the Kibler Woods Runner kit, with little to no experience with woodworking and have a nice looking, enjoyable muzzleloader that not only works well but functions well too, and of course looks nice. We'll keep you posted as more Kibler Hawken news comes out. This has been discussed on the forums for years, with Jim confirming that he was interested in working on a Hawken probably close to 5 years ago now. So it's neat to see this step forward now, and I'm excited to see some pictures and maybe some more information about it. In event news, I wanted to say that as we're heading into the new year, I've got a bunch of flyers being posted for events around the country at ilovemuzzleloading.com. I encourage you to send in your event flyers if you have something or you have a favorite event out there that you think needs some coverage. Please send them in. I'll get them posted on the website as soon as I can. Like I've talked about a little bit before, my day job of running our local coffee shop is kind of getting into a stable point, and I'm able to get back into a bit of this, start sharing some of these events, and start focusing a little bit more on muzzleloading. In that same vein, in case you missed it, we shared last year, or late last year I should say, my wife and I will be taking over the Kalamazoo Living History Show in 2026, and that event is the third weekend in March every year. And if you're in the area of Kalamazoo, I encourage you to come out this year to the 2025 show. I think it's going to be a great show. We've got some great applications coming in for vendors, and I'm really excited about what the show is going to look like here for its 49th year. Kind of closing out the muzzleloading news here for January. It's kind of encompassing the fall, or the last quarter really, of 2024. As we look into 2025, I'm working on and finishing up some notes about some thoughts I have about muzzleloading and living history going into 2025. And I'll include that probably in the next couple weeks if you're watching this the day that this video uploads. It's kind of a more long form, my personal thoughts about some things that have happened and what we're looking at for 2025 with supply chain and companies and things kind of moving around as they have here But then also touching on some of the cultural notes that I talk about a little bit here and there. Looking at diving into that a little bit and seeing if we can set up some questions that we can all try to ponder this year as we head into 2025 and kind of a season of events. We're in the thick of winter right now. We've got like 3 inches of snow outside. But if you're like me, you're thinking about those first warm spring days, being able to get out and really enjoy it. It's not hard to get out in the winter and enjoy your muzzleloader by any means, but it is more comfortable to do it in the spring. And so I'm thinking about that time. I'm thinking about the time of people getting out to events and what we can do to further engage kind of the public in mass and people that are interested in muzzleloading to see if we can continue to make those connections that bring more people into the sport and the community so that we can see it carried on. I think we're still at a really good spot compared to years past, but I am young. And as always, I have an optimistic outlook about things, but we're kind of through the COVID bump and we're back to, I think, a normal period for the community where we're sustaining and focusing on outreach as we always have. There's not really a lot of handouts right now. There's not really a lot of pushed cultural interest in mass that can benefit us. So I'm kind of thinking about things in that regard of here we're at, kind of a stable, calm seas really for the muzzleloading community and culture. What does it look like for us and how can we set things up for increased success, whatever that might mean in the next 5 to 10 years. So like I said, finishing up the notes on that. I hope you find it interesting. If you don't, feel free to skip ahead. As weather kind of fluctuates here, we're continuing with our load development and our experimentation with some of the traditions muzzleloaders that got sent in. And I should be set up here pretty soon to crack open that Chambers New England Fowler kit. Excited to get that going. I'm on a ticking clock for that because baby number 2 is due in March. Turkey season starts in April. And we'll just have to see what we can get done. Once again, I'm Ethan. I love muzzleloading. Thank you so much for watching. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, shoot me an email at ilovemuzzleloading@gmail.com or leave a comment in the video description or in the video comment area. I'll do my best to answer them. Kind of do it in batches every couple weeks as time allows. But I am still trying to get that addressed. Thank you again. We'll catch you next time.